My name is Anaz Mangula.
My name is Sakina Godfrey.
Okay, my name is Sabrina Msharbash.
My name is Talia Sonia Nascimento.
My name is Jackie, or Chun Tong Chan.
Yeah, that's about it. My full name's Anaz Daman Mangula, if you want to know like my government name. Well, my name is Igbo Nigerian, so on my dad's side. On my birth certificate, I'm Anaz Daman Mangula Jr., so the second. But I think I'm actually the third, and I'm named after my grandfather. But when he came over to America and met my grandmother, he changed his name to, I believe, to Joseph Mangula to be more Americanized, and then my dad became Anaz. I got named after my dad as a way to kind of connect with those type of roots despite not like ever being close to them.
So when I was a little kid, my mom would always tell me that my name means glory whenever I would ask, and that it stems from biblical roots like Hebrew and Arabic as well. I definitely think that it's religious roots that are the reasons that I've gotten my name. I think that both of my parents came together and like with their background being very strongly religious people that they chose this name for me.
So my last name is Arabic. It means saddle, horse saddle. So the Msharbash people, they used to create like the little designs that would hang off of horse saddles. And so like that's what they were known for. And then over time, the Msharbash family became like this really big family in Jordan. And so now we're like the biggest Christian family in the country.
My dad originally came up with the name Dalia, and it's like supposed to be pronounced like with that kind of accent, like the Spanish accent. And my mom really liked the name, but she didn't want my name to have an H, because then people would call me like Thalia. And so because of that, they didn't put an H. And they wanted people to be able to pronounce it in Spanish and English. And so technically, I guess they originally came up with like Dalia, but no one really calls me that like ever. Yeah, my last name means birth, because my grandpa was on a boat here from Portugal, and he was like born on the voyage from Portugal to America, so they changed his last name to Nascimento. So that's kind of cool.
My Chinese name is Chan, and that's my family name. My first name my parents chose is Chung Tung, and the literal meaning is town and east, but the deeper meaning behind it is to conquer the east. The Asia country in the world is considered the east part, so I guess they want me to be someone that is like well-renowned in the east. In both names, they want me to be really successful and to be someone that's really great and a leader.
So names absolutely impact our communication practices, how we see ourselves. You can imagine the enormous amount of research that goes into what parents should call their children, and you know, the propensity of books that are out there in the market just saturated with the meanings behind different names. And at the same time, how all of this relates to family names and how people pass on their stories and pass on aspects of who they are based on the different names that they give to their children.
Like my name is clearly recognizable to people who are from Nigeria, like even if you're, like there's Igbo and then there's your Igbo or your Yoruba. And when they hear my name, they can clearly tell like I'm Nigerian. And so they'll ask me like, oh, like what part? Like, are you Igbo, are you Yoruba? Or like, are you from there? And I'm like, no, I was born here. And so I'm missing like a lot of aspects of that culture. Like I don't have a Nigerian mom. I don't like know my grandfather or like parts of his family that are primarily Nigerian, or I've actually never been to Nigeria. So a lot of the times when I think of my identity as being African, I feel a little left out of it. Part of the time when I say I'm African American, I'm like, well, I mean, yeah, I am on paper, but like a lot of my culture revolves around being like Black in America, especially since my mom her roots are mainly from America and like the South. So my name for me makes me think about and reflect on the ideas of what it means to be Pan-African. It's like despite being in America, like there's still these roots that are either present or unpresent to me that are etched in African like spirituality and practice and culture that hopefully with enough digging that I can one day connect.
For me now, because it's like a very obviously like ethnic last name, it's kind of helped me to like, you know, come to know my culture and because people always ask about it, like where are you from and all that kind of stuff. And so before I was like kind of embarrassed by it because it's like kind of hard to pronounce, but now like as I grow older, I'm like really appreciative of it. It's like a very obvious way that people know I'm Arab.
Yeah, growing up there was a definite disconnect with my name. So I went by AJ a lot of my life, and I try to like ignore it because it is ethnic and people can't say my name a lot of the time, so it made me irritated. So growing up I didn't really feel connected to it. I felt like it was just some part of my life that I was never going to attain.
I mean, day to day, having a unique name can be really challenging and difficult, but I feel like I combat that. Like, you have to be very confident when you have a different name. You can't be shy about it, you know? You have to be like, this is my name, and let everybody know and be proud of it, because that's why your parents gave you the name.
So I go by Talia just because it's easier for people to say. But at the same time, it's like cool when other people will pronounce my name like Dalia. Because I don't know, I'm not used to it, but I'm also like, that is how it's supposed to be pronounced.
Up until 3rd grade, I went to a school filled with like mostly Arabs, and so it was like never an issue. And then 4th grade, I transferred. I moved to Rancho Cucamonga, and it was like a majority white school. Like no one had known any Arabs personally before me. First day of class every year, oh, how do you pronounce your last name? Then it became like a game on pronouncing my last name, and I was like, ooh. And so yeah, teachers would like call me Mushroom because it was easier to pronounce, and I was like, okay, nice. And so I think it was like until high school where people like, they knew me for a while, and so it became normal and people eventually learned. It's like, yeah, now that I'm in college, I'm like really proud of it.
First thing that comes to mind is just like anytime that you're in a class and like say like it's the first day or there's a substitute teacher, like there's always just like are they gonna get my name right? Even just going to Starbucks, you don't know if they're going to get your name right. And sometimes people just don't even try, which is pretty rude. Our parents gave us these names for cultural and religious reasons. These names have meanings. They're not just sounds and syllables that people decided to put together for fun. And for that reason, I'm really passionate and strong about my name, and I make sure that people don't pronounce it wrong because it's part of who I am.
So I was thinking about the different ways that we navigate, the way that we use our names, or even the way that we say our names. So in some spaces I feel more comfortable saying Diana, in other spaces I say Diana. You know, if it's a family member, they even say Dianita because they use that as a term of endearment. And so thinking about these negotiations as kind of a contested space that have to be constantly renegotiated. One term that has been helpful for me is a term called nepantla, which is an in-between space where there's kind of a struggle for meaning and a struggle for identification. And so in this middle space, people are constantly negotiating who they are and how they connect with other people. And so it's really interesting for me to see when we make these choices and to be empowered to be comfortable in making these choices. If I ever introduce myself as Diana Martinez, to really feel good about that, and to also be okay with when I introduce myself as Diana Martinez, that all of those are who I am. And in terms of mispronouncing or misnaming, it's important when someone does feel safe to understand that it's okay to correct other people. You know, that people also want to call you by your correct name. And so part of that sometimes involves a teaching moment of just letting someone know who you are and what you want to be called. It's also not someone's job to constantly have to be educating other people on how to say their name, but paying attention to those moments. If somebody takes the time to say, hey, my name's actually this, or I actually go by a nickname, or this is what I prefer, to really take that meaningfully and work on making those shifts and those changes.
Now, especially recently when I was in high school, or not recent because I'm a junior now, but when I was in high school and now in college, it is kind of empowering to, like, especially now that I'm comfortable like having like dark skin and I have natural hair, like being African is a way that I try to imagine what my roots are and what they can be. And so now I focus, at least when I'm learning about my identity, it's how can I learn what it means to, of course, be Black in America, but how can I feel as close as I can to a part of my life that I've essentially been denied. So that's ways that I've been trying to reconnect with it.
I think it's like, as I grow up, I just like I need to like make my family proud, but then also like make my name proud. And like, because our family is so big back in Jordan, it's like, I want it to be like when people hear it, like they think of good things, like when they hear my last name. And so it's like, I try hard to like be like the best person I can be and all that stuff. Try to like make the name proud.
So going by AJ was mainly one or two things. One, I was having issues with like, with what my name was, whether it was like family and my dad or just like that, I didn't feel comfortable with it. And two, I wanted to be seen as more appeasing to like my white counterparts, so I went by AJ. It's just really simpler that way. But then starting Pepperdine, like, you know, this is like my starting ground. Like, undergraduate career reflects a lot about what I will be seen as an adult. And my name is Anaz. Like, it's not something I can change it, but it's not something I should try to escape. So I realized that AJ is something that is like colloquial. Like, it should be something that's for people who are close to me and know me intimately. For people who kind of just greet and talk to me, like, Anaz is my name. And my name has power, it has prominence, it's reflective of me, and I shouldn't be ashamed of having a name that isn't, you know, quote unquote white. So I make sure people know, like, hi, my name is Anaz. You do not know me, you don't know anything about my life or my story. We can be really nice and cordial to one another, professors as well, but my name is Anaz, and that's something that needs to be acknowledged because it's a matter of respect, and it's a matter of how I, again, grow and learn to identify and grow with me. People forget like what the power that there is in a name, or like just being identified. Like your name, that's like where you start and end. It's the thing that people say the most, but you never say it yourself. Like, I don't call myself Anaz. People around me have to, and it's an identifying marker. And so my name being Nigerian, being Igbo, being ethnic, quote unquote, isn't just something that's like, oh, it's just something that goes on my Pepperdine ID. It's just something that I live with, that shapes me, and that is part of the first way that I identify with the world. And so if people don't get used to hearing a name that isn't like, you know, within their norms or boundaries, can get pretty harmful to others. And so I just hope by the steps I take with, you know, making sure my name is called out correctly, that it's identified the way that I want it, that people respect how I want to be addressed, that other people moving forward can feel the same kind of comfortability and power in doing so themselves.